giving me such an opportunity once again. Greetings to you all. Is everything okay? I think he left. Oh, okay. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen of GAM. Good morning to Honorable Sidia and the fellow guests. I welcome you all on a webinar of national unity and diversity, building a strong Gambian identity. It is an honor to address the theme so vital to our nation's inspiration. The Gambia is a beautiful country with diverse ethnics, cultures, and traditions. Our strengths lie on celebrating the difference while forging for a common identity and rooted in mutual respect and shared values. In our interconnected world, fostering national unity is crucial. It allows us to harness our potential, overcome our challenges, and create a prosperous future. Our diversity enriches our national fabric and enhances our global standings. Today, we explore how to strengthen our national identity by embracing our heritage. We will discuss strategies to promote inclusivity, understanding, and collaboration across our society. The dialogue is essential for building the Gambia where every citizen feels valued and invested in our development. I am confident that today's insight will significantly contribute to our efforts and build a united and resilient Gambia. Let us commit on fostering the sense of belonging and unity that transcends our differences. Thank you all for your dedication to toward this discussion, and then together we will build a strong and united Gambia. Thank you all for having you here, having your time to come and listen to such an important topic. And then having such an iconic man of his caliber, Sidia Jatta, is an opportunity that we have, and then we have to embrace it. Thank you so much, Sidia Jatta and the team, for embracing such an invitation. We are grateful. Gambian students in India are grateful for the opportunity, and thank you for having you. We look forward to planning much more from you, inshallah. Thank you so much for having me. Back to you, Alaji.
Well, thank you very much, Madam President. I'm really glad and happy with everything that you have said, and actually, it could not be said better. Next of all, actually, I would like to welcome someone whom many of us here know, Mr. Gay, actually, a well-known Pan-Africanist, nationalist, historian.
The connection is... Hello.
Oh, yes.
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you, Mr.
The connection is somewhat very poor. Yeah, I mean, the connection is very... I'm not getting you very well because it keeps on breaking. When you speak, it keeps on breaking here and there.
Oh, the connection is poor.
Yeah, it is. It is. Okay. It's not flowing. It's not flowing at all.
Aladi?
Yes.
Can we advise him to switch off his video then? Probably the video is adding more weight on the data. So, Honorable, can you switch on the video and then just allow the audio to go in, if possible?
To put it off?
The video, yes, exactly. Yes. That's fine. That should be okay.
Okay. As I was saying, now I would like to welcome someone whom many of us here know, Mr. Gay, a well-known Pan-Africanist, nationalist, historian, and an educationist. Is a well-experienced teacher who has authored several books in history, government, and civil education. Mr. Gay, founder of the Education Center for Excellence, a study school which runs primary school, junior school, and senior schools, and private exams, private WAS classes rather. So, Mr. Gay, please, can you take on the floor? Mr. Amadou Gay?
Hello?
Hello, yes, sir, we can hear you. I hope now
I'm waiting, I'm here, I'm listening.
Yeah, actually, right now,
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, I'm calling for Mr. Amadou Gay to take on the floor.
Okay.
Mr. Gay, you are muted.
Hello.
Is Mr. Gay with us?
MC, are you MC? Moderator? Hello?
Is Mr.
Hello.
Gay with us?
Alaji Madi, are you getting me?
Yes, I'm hearing.
Why not somebody call your guest speaker and brief him about the itinerary so that we will be able to you can mute him for a while so that we will have a flow of communication, because it seems like he's having some troubles of getting to the larger group. Maybe somebody has to brief him about the activity.
Yeah.
I can hear you very well.
Okay.
I can hear you very well. Hello.
Yes, yeah. Is Mr. Gay here with us? Okay. Since Mr. Gay is not responding, then I would like to give the floor to Sajo, AK Jaju, to go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum. Greetings to each and every one of you, and thank you so very much, my host, my co-host, Alhaji Madi Sise, for letting me in. As he has iterated, I am his co-host, and as such, I would be reading or giving the biography of a legend that we have in our midst here. So here it goes. Born in 1945, is a Mandinka man from Sutukoba, Wille district. He was educated locally and at Nunguya Secondary School near Accra, Ghana, from 1961 to 1963, before returning to the Gambia to attend the Yundum College from 1964 to 1966. After working as a school teacher in various primary and secondary schools until 1972, he enrolled at the University of Grenoble from 1973 to 1978, obtaining undergraduate and master's degree in linguistics. He returned to France again to further his studies in 1983. After returning to the Gambia, the man worked for the Curriculum Center. Honorable, can you please mute your mic? I think that would help us. Okay. After returning to the Gambia, the man worked for the Curriculum Development Center from 1978 to 1983, later as a senior curriculum development officer and a research fellow at the International African Institute, London, from 1980 to 1982. He resigned from the government in 1986 in protest to the performance of the ruling Progressive People's Party's government, commonly called PPP. The man in question is the founder of the People's Democratic Organization for Independence and Socialism, DOI, in 1986, an opposition to the ruling president Sadauda Kairaba Jawara, and was elected its first chairperson in 1987. He is the co-editor of the party's newspaper, Forea. He stood in Willie constituency for DOI in the 1987 House of Representatives elections, stood again in 1992, but finished last in both elections. However, the Honorable has always highlighted their focus on issues and ideology rather than insults. Along with Honorable Halifa Saleh, he refused the offer of a post in the Armed Forces Provisional Ruling Council, AFPRC, government in 1994. He was briefly detained in August 1994 in defiance of the government ban on political activities. The Honorable, who doubles as the president of the Institution of African Parliament, established Wilder for Literacy and the Willie Fund for Community Development. He always emphasized the importance of African languages for education and development, advocating for their prioritization. His concern for Pan-Africanism and African liberation is in the open for all to see. In 1997, Willie constituency was divided into two constituencies, which were Willie West and, of course, Willie East constituencies, respectively. And he won Willie West constituency in the 1997 National Assembly elections. Subsequently, he became one of the most trenchant critics of the APRC government in the country's National Assembly. He is also the Secretary General of the Willie Adult Literacy Development Association. In 2016, Doi was part of the prominent political parties to form a coalition against the then dictatorial government of President Jammeh. They succeeded in unseating President Jammeh's 22 years of tyrannical government and elected President Adama Barrow, who was the head of the coalition. On Saturday, the 30th of March 2024, he received the prestigious African Heroes Award 2024 in Ohio, in the United States of America. He had these awards because of the development and advancements of both the African continent and the people of African descent on the continent and in the diaspora. This recognition reflects his tireless dedication to a positive change in Africa. The award dates back in the year 1991, when former President Nelson Mandela of South Africa was honored with the inaugural award. At this juncture, I want to see your reactions. Can we guess who this hero could be or is? He is a man whose intellectual capacity is unmatched, a Gambian politician, academician, and writer whose integrity, consistency, and honesty cannot be underestimated. The man is an embodiment of spirit of leadership, cultural preservation, and empowerment of the African continent. Today, we have this doyen and, of course, icon with us to celebrate African Liberation Day, which is commemorated on every 25th day of May. Today, GAM's theme for this year reads National Unity and Diversity for Building a Strong Gambian Identity. Ladies and gentlemen, please join us to welcome the relentless, the enthusiastic, and the industrious Sidia Jatta. Honorable, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sajo, for that wonderful introduction and welcome. Mr. Jatta, can you please press on the mic on your device, and then you can have the floor, please. Mr. Jatta, the floor is yours. Can you just please press the mic? Mr. Jatta? Mr. Jatta?
Honorable, I hope you can hear us.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah, you can. The floor is yours. Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for those very kind words. But I want to do two corrections first before I say anything. Are you following? Hello?
Yes, we are. We are following.
You are following me?
Yeah, we are following.
Yes, and in your introduction, you said, I am a Mandinka man. I am not a Mandinka man at all. I am a Gambian. My mother is a Fula speaking person, and my father was a Mandinka speaking person. So who am I? I'm neither Mandinka nor Fula. I'm between the two. So I'm not a Mandinka man. That's one. Two, Willie was not divided in 1997. When I won the elections in 1997, I won for the whole of Willie as a constituency. So for the first 5 years, I represented the whole of Willie, and that was the time I established the Willie Fund, which is still ongoing. So those are the two corrections I want to make.
Okay, thank you very much. Noted.
Right. Well, today is a great day. A great day in the sense that it is historically in which Africa decided to come together as a continent. But we must bear in mind that 1963 creation of OAU was a compromise solution. Compromise solution because before that, there were a lot of micro organizations on the continent which were all vying for one type of unity or the other. But the two main among them were the Monrovia Group and the Casablanca Group. The Casablanca Group were named as revolutionaries, and the Monrovia Group was considered to be moderates. Some would call them the progressives and reactionaries. But these were not the only two, there were others. For example, there was also one called OCAM, which is a French acronym which meant Organisation Commune pour l'Afrique et le Malgache, a common organization for Africa and Madagascar at the time. So that also existed. And also Nkrumah and others who were very much concerned about the need for the unity of the continent, where a lot of things, for example, in West Africa, like Ghana, Guinea, Mali Union, as Secretary Nkrumah and Modibo. I think the purpose of creating Ghana, Guinea, Mali Union was to create a nucleus for continental unity. So a lot of things were done at that level too. So that when they finally met in Addis Ababa in May 1963, and eventually they created an organization which they call Organization of African Unity, it must, for me, in my perspective, must be seen as a compromise solution. In other words, those people like Nkrumah and his likes in the organization saw it as a possibility of using it as a stepping stone into a more continental type of unity that they were advocating. So that's for me, I see it from that perspective. Now we say we are celebrating 25th May, the creation of the continent. You know, when you celebrate, sometimes you celebrate because you are happy about what you are celebrating about. People celebrate their birthday, they are happy that they are still alive. But they are also forgetting that there is something, a sad side of that celebration, because you are not growing young, you are growing old. Nobody is happy to be growing old. So when you celebrate, there are two aspects of celebration. There is one side happiness and other side unhappiness. So when you celebration must also be seen in that light, particularly the current situation of the organization. And sometimes I question whether when we celebrate, what are we celebrating? What are we really celebrating? Considering what has been happening on the continent and considering what is happening on the continent. I wonder whether there is any need for us to celebrate, because for me there is nothing happy about what is happening on the continent. For example, if you take, I'll just give you something and to give you an insight into what I am driving at. In 2014, the AU, the African Union budget was $308 million. That was the budget for the AU that particular year, $308 million. But out of this sum, the continent together could only afford to pay just a little about half of that sum. And the rest of the sum came from the donors. And this gets even worse in 2015, when the budget rose by 30% and it went up to $393 million. And the continent could pay only 33% of that. 63% was funded by donors. And yet in 2016, the budget rose to $417 million. And the continent could pay only 40% of that. 60% was provided by outside donors. And in 2017, the budget rose again to $439 million. And the continent could only afford to pay 26% of that. 74% was provided by outside donors. We are talking about the richest continent in the world. And the richest continent which came together and yet cannot provide the requirements of its budget. And what did they say? I'm taking this from the study commissioned by the organization itself. They commissioned one of their colleagues, the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, to make a study of the organization. And in the same report, they say, at one time, 97% of AU programs were funded by outside donors. Now, this raises fundamental questions. How sovereign is the African continent? Since it depends almost wholly on outside donors to be able to run its programs. So this is the issue I want you to think about. This will give you an insight into the following discussion that we are going to engage. I stop there for the time being to see whether you have any questions to ask. Hello, moderator.
Yes, you can continue. Actually, they're noting down their questions. They will ask after you're done.
Well, okay, and these are okay. Now, currently, if you look at the situation in Libya, when Libya was attacked by outside forces intending to destroy the country and make it ungovernable, and the aftermath of that now is that Libya is divided into two countries because there are two governments in Libya now. There is one in Tripoli and there is one in Benghazi. And what has the African Union done in what had happened in Libya and what is happening there now? As far as I'm concerned, I've not seen anything. And the endless crisis in Central African Republic and worse still in Darfur. They remove all the forces in Darfur, giving the impression that the problem had been settled there, but we know that Darfur is getting even worse than ever before. And what is the continent doing about the crisis in Sudan, in the two Sudans? So these are issues which, for me, anybody who is thinking seriously about the continent and its unity, you don't feel happy at all. You don't feel that there is even a need to celebrate anything on the continent. Because all this, this is not to say that nothing happened, but if you measure what has happened in terms of what is positive and what is negative, the negative outweighs the positive. So what is there to be celebrated? And even if you come to the fundamental issue, which is now which has been characterizing the African continent since 1957, let's say, since the independence of Ghana. Because in 1958 there were only 8 African independent countries on the continent. The rest were not independent at all. But if you start thinking from that date, 1957, even though Liberia was independent and Ethiopia before those dates, but let me take from there, 1957. The fundamental question that the continent should have asked and addressed immediately has to do with what today is currently marring education and developmental equality. What is that? The use of alien languages as languages of education and languages, official languages. That's English and French and Portuguese. As far as I'm aware, I've not seen any first generation politician who had posed this as a fundamental question needing solution immediately. And this is what even development experts on the continent have missed. And therefore, all their development programs have faltered on the ground. Because language is the fundamental factor that makes you different from other people. That is what determines you as a human being. We know the language you speak is rooted in the culture in which you are rooted yourself. Negating that culture, it means you are negating your being, your essence as a human being. And your capacity to acquire knowledge in the most effective way. And your capacity to use that knowledge as a tool for your own development. Take Ghana and South Korea, for example. I've always cited this. Ghana and South Korea almost came to the fore in the same year. And Ghana's per capita income was higher than that of South Korea at the time. But now South Korea is in the so-called first world. And Ghana is still totally in the so-called third world with all the riches that South Korea does not have, with all the riches that Ghana has. The key reason why it is happening is that because South Korea, since inception, they have been using a tool which is known to them, that is their own language. And Ghana has been wallowing with English as language of scholarship, with English as language of official language in a country where more than 40-80% of the population don't speak English. And where the representatives of the people go to a government where they speak a language which is alien to the people that they are representing. In other words, people don't follow those who are speaking on their behalf in their parliaments. And therefore, the vast majority of people have been denied of their birthright. Every constitution on the continent stipulates very clearly that we are all equal before the law. But in the same constitution, it is stipulated that, but if you cannot read and write in English or French, you cannot become a president, you cannot become an MP, you cannot become even a lecturer. Where is the equality? It's not a flagrant contradiction. And nobody raises questions about these fundamental issues. Because English, alien as it is, has created privileged positions in our societies that those who have acquired their education in that language are occupied, and they are not prepared to language them for a better progress forward. So you and I are all in this situation, but I have liberated myself, and in fact I'm saying that I'm very fortunate, absolutely fortunate than all of you, because in the thick of colonial rule, I went to a school where I learned formally in my father's language, that's Mandinka. I began my education in my father's language, and the book, the manual we are using was entitled Mandinka Talibol La Kitabu, written by O. Haroran in collaboration with a Gambian. Can you imagine? That was under colonialism. They had three types of that school in the Gambia. One in Wuli, one in Jimala, and one in Faraba Banta. But I went on only for 2 years. And since it collapsed, even after independence, no attempt was made to liberate our minds from the use of alien language in order for us to learn better and with much ease. In the Gambia here, whenever there is an examination, the first casualty is English language itself. The second casualty is also mathematics, because language and mathematics is a technical subject. First, you have to understand the language. First, you have to understand the technicalities of the subject matter itself to be able to intellectualize that in your own language and understand as you are supposed to understand it to be able to do anything. So when you question why Africa's intellectual progress is not comparable to many other continents and continents, Africa is the only continent where, even after independence, decades after independence, foreign languages still continue to hold sway in the domain of scholarship and officialdom. And we are destroying our kids. We are turning their education. We are closing their cognitive capacity to learn. Not only to learn in school formally, but even extracurricular activities, extracurricular activities. We are preventing them from doing all that activities. So this is the situation on the continent. And I don't know how you have been thinking about it, but you young ones, you have a big problem. But the sad thing I have observed is that you are not very much concerned about all these issues, these fundamental issues of language that I have raised. For me, this is a key question that has to be answered immediately in the continent if you want to forge progress ahead. I'll stop there for the time being. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you very much for what you have said. Actually, you have touched the hearts of many young minds here and created this intrigueness in us that is now making us think a lot about things that are going on, things that we were ignoring, or things that we just believed were insignificant before. So actually, since we have a time, if anyone has a question, you can come forward and ask your question. Yes, Mr.
I want this to be as interactive. I want it to be as interactive as possible, because that's the way we can move forward. That's the way we can understand issues.
Yes, sir.
I don't want just to continue speaking like that, but I provoke you, and I want you to think and then get in, and then we debate.
Yeah. Mr. Abdullahi Njai, can you please?
Thank you very much, moderator, and thank you, Honorable, for coming in. We really appreciate your time. Yeah, exactly. You have provoked us. You have definitely touched our minds in telling us the problems, and I think it's our responsibility to take it from there and then try to see how best we can fix it. Now, coming to Gambian context, I am one of those that have been following you with so many engagement with the Minister of Basic and Secondary Education in regards to the national language and the likes. So, how would you advise young ones in trying to advocate for this kind of issues? Because it's the first thing in India, we've realized that students are using their own national language to learn. Like it's make it life easy for them to understand the context and everything. And we will be struggling because we're using a different language. So how do we champion this issue in bringing this national language issue to make sure it's really in order to be and it's part of the curriculum and it's really implemented. Because I know you have been doing a lot with the Ministry of Education.
Well, it's good that your question is very interesting and relevant. There are many things that you can do, although you are very far away from the Gambia. But the happy thing is that you are many, at least quite a few in India, because you are more than 10. I'm sure you are more than 10, maybe even more than 20. Even if you are only 5, it's enough. Even if you are only 2, you can do something.
Your Excellency,
So,
we are 100. We are 100.
if
We are only 150.
okay, you are 100. Okay, you are 100. Okay, maybe there are many linguistic groups which are represented there. You have Mandinka speaking, Fula speaking, and Wolof speaking, and so on. But one thing I would suggest is that if you feel what I'm saying is what is right, it is not too late. It is said that it is never too late for reason to prevail. We can always correct ourselves at any time in our life. Now we've seen that it is absolutely essential. In fact, it helps you better, even though you have not used it as a foundation. But you can still do it. And maybe you will not know how the language is written. But you are speaking, the person you are speaking to, I'm the specialist here as far as I know. And I'm the one who designed the writing system for the Gambian languages. So decide, meet, if you are Mandinka speaking or you are Fula speaking, you can come together and say, okay, now we are going to start to think and see how we are going to learn our language. Write to me, I'll send you the alphabet. And then I'll tell you many other things also. I can even send you some manuals that I have developed for my literacy classes in Willie. But before all that, you must be convinced that you have missed something fundamental to your life. And that is to begin your formal education in your own language, your first language, that language that is spoken in your home. That was the reason why UNESCO in 1952-53 made a declaration in the world that it is the right, fundamental right of every human child to begin formal education in L1. L1 means language, one means the child's language, the language that the child speaks in the home, and the language that is spoken in the home itself. And that's why the two schools I have mentioned came into being. It was that declaration which propelled the colonial administration to build those 3 schools in the Gambia, even though they existed for only two or more years, not more than 3 years anyway. They collapsed. But now you can decide, like, okay, from today we are going to make, okay, we who speak Mandinka, we who speak Fula, you can even Fula and Mandinka, they can come together. There is no reason why a Mandinka would not learn Fula. There is no reason why a Fula would not learn Mandinka. And so already some of them are already Mandinka speakers. Some of them are already Fula speakers. There was Fula. My father was Mandinka. But I speak both languages. Even though my mother nobody ever spoke Mandinka, I wrote Fula to my mother in the home, but I used to, because I never saw any one of my grandparents. Mother's side, father's side, I never saw any grandparent. So sometimes to please myself, I would use my mother as a grandmother, and I would speak to her in Fula. That you know, so I'm the only child of hers who spoke Mandinka Fula to her. I'm the only one who ever spoke Fula to her in the home. So you can do it. It's not late. And I'll give you an information. It's a happy situation that I've been struggling against the use of English in the early stages of education in this country. Since 1978, I started an experimentation in 1978-79. The first, I designed a writing system for 3 languages which were chosen by the government at the time, that's Mandinka and Wolof. And then we developed learning materials. Imagine, listen to this very seriously. We developed learning materials and to print them for our experiment. Government never printed them. But because I was very enthusiastic about the issue of language, and that's what motivated me even to study what I studied. When I studied linguistic science, to come back to deal with our national languages and the continental languages as a whole. We'll come to that also. But we wrote everything by hand. First phase of the experiment, first year, handwritten material. Can you imagine? Second year of the experiment, all the materials were also handwritten. But in the end, I sat down and asked myself, I said, could this really go? How can we continue to produce materials handwritten when there was a printing establishment for printing those materials in the Gambia? And the government never bothered, and this was their own policy. UNESCO established a center in Gambia that they call Curriculum Development Center, in which they created a unit to deal with national language. But because there was nobody of my training, the center existed from 1975 up to the time I came, joined them towards the end of 1978. That I posted myself to the Curriculum Development Center against the will of my director of education at the time, and said if I went there, he would not pay me. And that is what happened. 3 months I was there, I was not paying money. I didn't care. That never deterred me from doing, even though they refused to print the material, it never deterred me from doing what I did. Just to prove to them that what I was saying, it was already experimented elsewhere. The Igbo IFE project. Anybody who reads IFE project conducted by Professor Fafunwa and others was about teaching Yoruba. And that experimentation proved beyond doubt that any child who begins formal education in the mother tongue or language one does better than the child who begins it in a foreign language, even in extracurricular activities. So this is, there is no doubt that education has been deterred in the country, on the continent, because of the fact that we are using a tool which is alien to us, which in fact is affecting negatively our cognitive capacity. Because beginning formal education in L1, your own language, helps to enhance your cognitive capacity to learn any other language with ease. Let me digress a little bit. When I left school in Bajakunda after 2 years, I went back home and I was looking after my father's cows for 2 good years. Sometimes we are grazing in Senegal for months. For 2 good years, I never saw a book again. But I beg you, I'm not pounding my chest. In the 3rd year, my father decided to send me to school in Basse. I went there. Then they had standard, not primary. I was taken to standard 3. But I left school in standard 2, using only Mandinka. Standard 3, I went there. I was better than those who were there, who were learning English from the beginning. And even though I had not gone to school for 2 good years, better than them. Not only them, but even those in standard 6, whenever they were giving mathematics and they couldn't do, the teacher would come for me in standard 3. I would go and do it for them. I never paid school fees in St. George's. Teachers were competing to pay my school fees because of my performance. And that thanks to the way I started my schooling. In my L1, the language spoken in my home is the language I started education with. So it was my cognitive power was fertilized, was developed, was opened. I could learn English as if it was the only thing I had ever learned from the beginning. And this is the truth. So please, if you really are interested after this, and go back, think about it, put yourself together. In your leisure time, you can learn your language. You will see. Only thing you will know, you will learn actually is how to write the alphabet, to use it to write your language. Once you master the way to write your language, everything becomes easy. You will enjoy it.
Thank you, sir, and Abdullah Njai, for that wonderful question. And sir, actually, you gave a wonderful answer. Actually, makes me actually recall some of the few things that my siblings used to say regarding the same issue. But on a more serious note, Mr. Tombong Jobate, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you, Madi. Assalamu alaikum, Honorable Jatta. Greetings to you and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
But personally, I read your work. You know, your strive to inculcate our indigenous literature in our curriculums. You and your fellows like the Bakari Sidibes and the Bakra Wales. I think you know them very well. All right.
Yes, very well.
Yeah, that's great. So, but during your time in the National Assembly, did you or any of the parliamentarians once tabled this, for our indigenous literature to be inculcated in our curriculum at any time? And if there were one, what was the outcome? Thank you.
Good question. When I became an MP in 1997, the first question I asked was that why was it that we were using our own languages in Parliament? And the answer the then speaker gave me was that technically the building was not designed for that purpose, that you have to have this. I said, but I attended a conference but no, Senegambia Beach Hotel, and it was technical because it was about human rights. And I was very surprised that there were two simultaneous translators. I didn't see them, but I had them. There was Mandinka simultaneous translator and Wolof simultaneous translator. They were translating speakers from English, Wolof to Mandinka. I was very surprised. I started that he said, yes, but technically we don't have those. I said, well, we can get them. Because law is saying that we can use our languages in the National Assembly if we make an act to that effect. He said, no, it's open. Okay. But throughout my life in Parliament, I have battled for the use of national languages. Yes, I never brought a bill. I knew when I brought it, it would have failed because the vast majority were APRC, and whatever the government wanted, that's what they would do, whether right or not. So, to answer your question now in a more positive way, I'm happy to inform you that there is a colleague who is coming up now with a private member's bill to that effect, because the ground has been prepared for it. I have done a lot of sensitization in the national level. For the last 20 years, I've been talking about this. So everybody is now sensitized to a point that if you bring a bill, nobody would oppose it. Because of the situation in which some of them are finding themselves, they would want to speak, they would not speak because they are ashamed to make mistakes in English. So they just keep quiet. So that's happening now. And I'm not going to mention the name of the person, but I know he spoke to me. And whenever it comes, I'll tell you. Because whenever that bill is going to the National Assembly, whatever I'm going to do, I'm going to do it and go to the National Assembly to serve as a backbencher for the promoter of the bill. But the other thing I can tell you, let me just add this there now. I'm also glad to inform you that last year, I think it was about mid last year or so, the government decided to have a new language in education policy. And I was one of those consultants who were commissioned to draft a new language in education policy. That is for the schools. And that was drafted and it was validated. And just a few days ago, we finished, there was a team created by the ministry, and I was part of the team. We went out into the provinces and throughout up to this area, Combo area, to sensitize people on the new language in education policy, which is that from ECD, that is nursery school now, the child will learn his or her own language. Everything will be taught in his or her language. And then grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, the child will still learn everything in his or her own language. And then grade 4, English would be taught as a subject. Before the end of grade 4, English would be taught as a subject, and end of grade 4, English would become language of instruction, and the child's language will now become a subject. It will be taught from that level up throughout the education system. And children will also have the option, in addition to their own language as a subject, if they want to learn any other language, they'll be free to learn any other language. That is the new thing that is going to happen. And we are going to proceed to train teachers who are going to teach this language, because now it is going to all the schools in the Gambia, all the ECDs in the Gambia. This is a huge work that the ministry is giving itself. I only hope that we'll be able to prepare ourselves adequately to be able to implement this policy effectively. That's what's ongoing now in the Gambia.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And I really hope that that initiative will become a success. Mr. Karamo, you can take on the floor.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Welcome, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Honorable Jatta from India. My question direct to when some of us as young people, when we read your autobiography, or we read most of you from DOI, or to say PDOIS, we will understand that it is like PDOIS are,
it seems like he left.
As a party play a role in the development of Gambia politically. But one thing that we did not see clearly is when...
Sorry, it seems Honorable left.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah, maybe suffering from network issues again.
Yeah,
let's just see.
Hello?
Hello, sir. Welcome back.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Welcome.
the charge was exhausted.
Oh, okay.
Battery flat, I've connected, then we can continue.
Yeah. Mr. Karamo? Is Karamo with us still? Okay. Ibrahim,
Few
we could.
minutes left. Okay.
All right, thank you so very much, and Mr. Host and everybody. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi honorable. First of all, thank you so very much for taking part of your valuable time to inspire youngsters like us. So for me, my question is like, considering the high literacy rate in Gambia, as we say or as we claim, but still now we see that things are not going as expected. So where is the problem? Is it that we lack patriotism, or the educational system we are having is what is not good, or where is the problem actually? Because we believe that like most of the institutions now are occupied with people with degrees, but looking at their efficiency, it did not tally with their degrees or whatsoever. So what is the problem actually in the country?
You know, it is a multifaceted problem. It's a multifaceted problem, like you alluded to that yourself. I think there are many sides to it. First, the education system is ineffective, because if you look at the examination results, for example, last grade 12 examination in this country, I'm informed that the statistics, 10,000 students did the examination. Okay, 10,000. But out of 10,000, only 41 were able to make aggregate 6. 41, only out of 10,000. It means that the system is dead. And there is a high school opposite my home and where I live. Only one student was able to credit 8 subjects. Only one out of the 100 that did the examination. And the other thing is also, even if you do extremely well in all the subjects, you have a distinction in all the subjects, you only pass English and mathematics, you cannot go to university. You know that is a rubbish. But that's what's happening here also. And in addition to that, the school fees, the tuition fees in the university are so high, they are beyond the reach of most students. And that's also many of them have become casualties in the process, even they cannot pay the tuition fees. And then after graduation, because I know I've met a student who graduated 2018, he's still without a job. I met somebody who graduated about 2 years ago, cannot still get a job. There are many. It means that if one person you made from a particular class, that class is maybe over 100, maybe only 10% of them are having a job, no job. That's it. But the other problem is, I used to tell my colleagues in the National Assembly, I said, Gambia does not exist in our conscience. In other words, there is nobody who is committed to the Gambia as a geopolitical entity on which we all depend for our survival. So people go to work, like I said something like that in a seminar yesterday. I said, people just go to work, they get work, they are not working because they are committed to achieve the fundamental requirements of that job, but they don't just want to get a salary. Whether they to Pasamas. And that also at the expense of the taxpayers' money, because it's a money borrowed with high interest. So the problem, agriculture used to be the pillar of the economy of this country. It is no longer. Last year, groundnut produce, maybe only 10% of it has been bought. The rest are still lying in the country, but the government could not buy them. In the beginning of the trade season last year, the ministry announced that Gambian farmers should not sell their groundnuts to Senegal. They forbade them to do that. But as they proceeded along the trade season, the same minister came and announced that they could not buy any groundnut anymore, that people were free to go and sell their groundnut wherever they want. And what is still lying there is much more than what has been bought. So groundnut has even become a liability in this country, which used to be the pillar of the economy of this country, but now it is no longer. They wanted to replace it with tourism. Tourism cannot be, because tourists come to Gambia only for sun, and then with all the ills that are happening in the country, some tourists have been discouraged to come here. If you really want to find nature as a tourist, go to East Africa and Gambia. There is no nature here. All the nature is still alive in Central Africa, East Africa, and but not Gambia at all. So that is why everything seems to be stagnant, and prices are going up. Salaries are stagnant, and there is no control over anything in this country. So that is it. It is because people lack commitment to their country. That's a big problem, and that's one of the reasons also why Gambians cannot succeed in electing a government that will serve their interests and aspirations. Everything they do is either because you hate somebody, even where he or she is competent to do the job that we are looking somebody for, but because of your hatred for that person or dislike for that person, you say no. So you end up by having people who are just there for the sake of being there, who are there for themselves. And therefore the country is dying on their feet, consciously or unconsciously. And that's what is happening. So what is required to be done is, and that's why when we created our party in 1986, we gave ourselves the task of sensitizing people. Because politics is meaningless in a situation like ours, where people are ignorant of the fact that you elect somebody. Why? Why do you elect somebody to be your representative in parliament? Why do we elect presidents? Why do we elect councillors? What are they supposed to do for us? If you don't know this, but you just vote because somebody is your relative, somebody you like, because somebody bribed you forgetting that that person and his or her colleagues are the ones who should come together and do something to improve your livelihood, to improve the state of education for children, to improve the situation in such a way that by the time your child leaves school and leaves university, employment is waiting for him or her outside. In any organized society, that is what happens. The 70 years of the existence of the Soviet Union, no one will tell you that he or she has ever written an application for a job. They knew was what he or she was studying, and by the time he or she finished, there was a job waiting for him or her outside. There is no need for application. Why do we have to ask for a job? Government should know exactly who are doing this particular. Where are they? When are they qualified? They know. They make an inventory of everybody who is learning, and jobs are created and waiting for them. But the government, succeeding governments in this country have never ever succeeded in investing into the productive sectors of this economy in such a way as to create revenue and create employment facilities for the people. Create revenue. It is tax that is killing the people in this country. You tax people who are earning nothing. Like for example, farmers are supposed to pay their rates and taxes, but their groundnuts have not been paid. It is out of the purchase of their groundnuts that they will pay their rates and taxes. Now, if the groundnuts are not sold, why are you asking them to pay it? Why are they going to get money to pay their rates and taxes? You know, these are issues that should be raised. People should be talking about. People should be protesting about. It's like we are killing people silently but surely. Because a farmer whose groundnuts are still lying down there unsold, and you are asking him or her to pay tax and rates, this tax, that tax, where is he or she going to get money to pay those tax and rates? This is it. It means that there is work to be done here. We must continue to talk to our people to understand the need for us to become aware when they are electing people to represent them. Because they commit huge sums of money to these people. For example, look at the area. I don't know whether you are following the commission on the area councils. Me, I don't, because I don't want to have a heart attack. Because when I say some of these things, they are so outrageous that I cannot pretend them. They asked one woman, one of the commission, why have you taken so? I think it's about 25 million or 25,000. She said, because of difficulties. She took it because of difficulties. People's money. So this is it.
Thank you very much, Honorable. Actually, yes, Honorable. Thank you very much for that explanation that you just provided. I've learned one thing, that the most easiest question to ask is why, and yet is the most difficult question to answer. Modu, you can take.
Yeah, thank you. Assalamu alaikum. And greetings to you, Honorable Jatta.
Alaikum salam.
Okay. As much as it is important to preserve...
Hello, how are you?
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
Yes, I'm
here.
Okay. I said, as much as it is important to preserve our cultural heritage, modernization too is inevitable. I've noticed that most African countries have a problem in balancing modernization and cultural heritage. So my question is, how can African countries balance modernization with the preservation of our cultural heritage, Gambia in particular? Thank you.
Well, let me understand your question correctly. When you talk about modernization and culture, what exactly do you mean by modernization?
Modernization basically means adapting to the Western culture. That's what I mean by modernization. How can you balance?
That is the crime you are committing against yourself. You don't need to adapt to Western culture. You need to develop your culture. There is nothing old about your culture because it's something that people are living. It is you who have been to Western schools, but those who have never been to schools are in the vast majority of the country in the Gambia. They are living their culture and they are growing up. The culture is not static, it's dynamic. All the cultures in this country have become, there is nothing old about them. In fact, I don't know why there is nothing like old culture. As long as people are living, their culture cannot be old because they are always adapting to new situations with their culture.
Modu, can you please move?
Okay, I guess my question is not clear. But what I mean is, I said earlier, modernization is unavoidable. We cannot avoid it. Because even in the Gambia, when we were going through primary school and junior school, they don't teach us about Gambian legends, or they don't teach us about Gambian people who fight for the Gambia in schools. Talk less, they teach us of outside people, the colonizers who came to the Gambia, and at the end they did not treat us right. We the Gambians, that's what we are teaching to our children. So basically what I'm saying is, how can we balance the modernization and our cultural heritage?
No, well, in fact, here it is not a question of balancing modernization and the you are saying, you are reinforcing exactly what I started with. It is that what must change. It is not Western culture or what English culture that we are supposed to teach. It is since we said we are now independent, sovereign people, that we are a people. There are no people without culture. There are no people without language. When you talk about people, you talk about language, you talk about culture, because language without culture is no language. And that is why Esperanto you have heard about. Esperanto is an artificial language created by an Italian mathematician in 1881. 1881, Esperanto was created by a mathematician in Chile. Because Esperanto is not connected to any culture, it is not rooted in any culture. From 1881 to now, the purpose for which it was created has still not been fulfilled. And that is to use it as a neutral language in Europe when they have conferences, when they have these events like that. This is because Esperanto is not rooted in, nobody associates itself with Esperanto. But any other human language which is rooted in culture, however small it is demographically, somebody associates himself or herself with it. Somebody is particular about it, somebody is interested in its development. You are talking about a situation where the colonizers use their language as a weapon to hold captive our own languages and our values. That's the purpose of colonization. They make you hate what belongs to you. They make you look down, cast on what it makes you as a human person. That's what colonization. That's why I'm saying when we had independence in the so-called independence in 1965, but 1970 is, in fact, we became independent from 1970. That is what we have torn. We should have torn down. We should have changed that fundamentally. But that has not happened because of the privilege it has created for you and I, who have been to the white man's school. That's why those who are not conscious are refusing to give way for their development of their own languages, for the fruition of their own culture. I don't know whether you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I do. So basically, if I get your answer right, it is not about
that is why the language in fact, it is about overhauling, not balancing. It's overhauling the system,
like eradicating
which has helped. What you call modernization, in fact, is destruction.
Okay, thank you very much.
I get it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Modo. I guess in the process of trying to educate ourselves, we should not forget who we are. We should always strive to never lose ourselves in the process. Mr. Joe, you can take on the floor.
All right. Assalamu alaikum to you all. I just wanted to ask whether I am audible before I will take on the floor.
Yeah, you are audible.
Am I audible?
Huh?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Uncle Sidia. This is Ali Joe from the Gambia. The host of Civic Education Bandara. Last time I had you in the studio and we discussed about the importance of having national language in our curriculum. And then we have realized that you people at the ministerial position, you are doing your best to ensure that we adopt to that policy. So I just want to make an emphasis on one or two things. From there I will leave with my section, if time permit me. The first thing is about need for civic education. Mr. Mbo may ask you a question here, but about what went wrong. Why are we in this position for far too long? And what needs to be done as far as this country is concerned? You make a reference about the performance of the students, where I wanted to pick up my statement. I know you will start to know this. Gambia, it is the only Commonwealth country that underperform when it comes to Gambia exam, when you come towards exam. To tell you that we have less than 4%, less than 4% credit pass 2022 exam results. While countries like Ghana and Nigeria, we have 89% credit pass, and Nigeria have 90+%, and Liberia. And Gambia, we have only 3.9% when it comes to credit pass. Doctor know that as well in 2022, more than 5,000 students graduated from year 12 with zero credit. 5,000 students with zero credit. And last year, 2023, whereas the ministry failed to publish the statistics of the credit pass because of the horrible results that come out from the end of the student. And now, Uncle Sidia, when you realize the budget allocated for MOPSI, many people tend to believe that it is very small. But even though the budget is small, it is the second largest budget allocated as far as apart from the debt service. So we wanted to know what's up because though one of their policies is about decentralizing resources. And we have realized that debate is coming. Now the only students that perform, the only students that write good English, the only students that speak good English is the students whose fathers are sending them to private schools. Public schools now become a dumping ground. And I made this statement on Coffee Time with Peter Gomez last time that the education of this country is training young people for criminalism and unemployability. People are graduating in University of the Gambia, from University of the Gambia. As I'm speaking, they are seated at home, brewing attire, they have no job to be done. So there is missing priority. I want you to direct us with all this corruption, economics management, talking on media, writing on social media, on Facebook, and on newspapers. To me, I don't think it's a solution. I think legal action needs to be taken to remedy all this massive corruption that is going around our local government and the central government. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, you said very interesting things. I think you have hit the nail on the head in many areas. You see, corruption is not just financial or economic. Corruption is also ethical. If you are employed to do a job and you don't do that job, you are corrupt. You are corrupting society in a very serious way because the job that you are supposed to do, if it is not done, people will suffer a consequence. That is corruption. That type of corruption is widespread in our society in the Gambia. That's why I said nobody is committed to the Gambia. Gambia does not exist in their conscience. So what will change that is a change of society, a change of government that will change it. And that's why we go for elections every 5 years, so that if the government fails to meet their promises, then it is the right of the voters to remove them and put some other people there. But that is what is not happening in this country. People keep on voting for the same persons who are not delivering anything simply because they are their friends, they are their relatives, they are of the same language group, or they are from the same village, or they are related in one way or the other. So in that situation, you can never have any progress in making in developing a society. And that the only thing that can change that is first the voters change their attitude to voting. And those they elect must meet their promise, must commit themselves to fulfilling the promises they make to the voters when they are doing their campaign. But that is not an easy matter. Because you see, it has been there before, using money to pervert minds, but now it is even more. The current situation, money has become so crucial in elections that it frightens me because, like the last parliamentary elections was held during the Ramadan. In a country like Gambia during Ramadan, where most people are poor, you go to a compound and say, fairly big compound, and say, okay, here is a bag of rice and $3,000. Big compound, here is a bag of rice and $5,000. Who will reject that in those circumstances? Only a very conscious person, even though he or she may be illiterate. But there are people who are conscious without being literate. Literacy is not a mark of consciousness anyway, because they went to somebody in my constituency, offered him $50,000. He told them, okay, let's go out. This is a man who has traveled, he was in the US, and he has had money. He even built a story building in a small village in Wuli, very far away, and has a lot of cattle. He has everything. He has everything here. He's well to do. He told them, look, you see this? This is my sweat. And may I tell you that this money that you are offering me is a money that belongs to me, because I know you don't dip your hands into a pocket to take the 50,000 to give it to me. You dip it into our coffers to take it to me to make me a slave. Look, let me ask you. He said, you are looking for a job for me. I'm your employer. I'm looking for somebody who can do that job to my satisfaction and for to serve my interest. Now you are bribing me, which means that you are incompetent. If I put it there, the first thing you would do is that the money that is used to better my condition is not the money you are going to take back for what you have given me. And secondly, my representative has no comparison in this country. There is nobody who put up in this country, in this constituency, better, who can even measure himself or herself to that person. I can never change him for anybody. Get out of my compound. Only a conscious person can do that. But how many of, and so it was not difficult to get rid of people like me in the election because of money. And then of course they use other people to put up other people to spoil votes. Because some people who stood there were there simply because they wanted to spoil votes for Sidia. So this is the situation. People don't see. But during campaign, sometimes they look, forget about parties and concentrate on who you are voting for. Is he or she capable of representing you? Can we serve your interest in parliament in the country? So there is a lot of work that is to be done here. And we even have more, for me, we have more problem with literate people than with illiterates. Because it's illiterate people who are misinforming illiterates. It's literate people that they are using as instrument to pervert the minds, and pervert the minds of the illiterate people, particularly those who are from particular areas. They buy them to go there and tell them, tell them whatever these guys are saying is rubbish, and then they give them the wrong information. So that's what's happened. So that's a work to be done here. That's the reason. But there is a need for fundamental change, and that fundamental change cannot come unless we have a government which is prepared to change the situation radically. And only voting can change that. So that's it.
Okay, sir, thank you very, very much for everything you have said here. Actually, I would like to quote something in Wolof, Junju Doyna Borom Khel. Like what you have said here, actually, it's enough for everyone who has intellectual, actually, or little bit, some sense even to think upon and know that, like, see the failures that we are facing in our country and try to find solutions for them. Identifying problems is one thing, but working towards finding a solution is the most important thing. I will also like to welcome Karamo for the closing, just to give some, just for the closing ceremony. It's almost time for prayers here. That's why.
Okay.
So, Mr. Karamo, the floor is yours. Please, you can go ahead and give some closing remarks.
Okay, thank you so much. Am I audible to you all?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
All right, thank you so much. Distinguished students, Honorable Sidia Jatta, Amadou Gueye, of course, who is regrettable not able to make it with us here. And the esteemed members of Association of Gambian Students in India, on behalf of the 7th Executive Council, Association of Gambian Students in India, it is my profound honor to extend our gratitude and heartfelt contribution to each and every one of you to this webinar, which is called Liberation Africa's Day, which is celebrated every 25th of May each year. Firstly, we would like to express our deepest appreciation to esteemed guest speaker, that's Honorable Sidia Jatta, and of course, Mr. Amadou Gueye, who was unable to be with us due to some technical issues, for their insights, concern in order to come out on these historical markings. Temporarily, of course, the significance of African liberation has profounded and enriched our understanding as students or as future citizens, as youths that may also want to go back to our Gambia to play our role in the socio-economic development of our dear motherland. We deeply appreciate and we are immensely grateful to your contributions, and also we are glad that you are coming to make some of these things clear to young people at the grassroots level, which who can also play their role in order to enhance the betterment of our nation, and that is Gambia in particular. A special thank to you all as participants and also as students who also take this as concern in order to be with us. And also, finally, I would like to thank those who are with us, those who support us as an executives. Your generous contribution have made these events possible. To the academics department, your giant work and also your everyday commitment to the welfare and also to the maintaining the academic value of Gambian students in India. Thank you so much, Mr. Honorable Jatta. And personally, I learned a lot, and I am more committed, and I am more ready. And I know there are a lot of other people who are more steadfast than me when it comes to this mission, are also committed, and they are also mentored about how we can effectively play our role in the development of our nation. Thank you so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you the strength, mind, and ability, and also give you a wisdom that will never be perished by wealth of this world, and maintain you for us for the future of our dear motherland, the Gambia. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Karamo, and thank you very much, Honorable Sidia Jatta. We really appreciate your time. We all know time is very important, and it's not something that one should joke with. And hopefully, each and every one of us here have at least gained something that will make them ponder and try to look at things in a more clear view. Thank you. All
I couldn't connect to your Wi-Fi network. Please open the Google.
Hello?
I hope I'm audible.
Hello?
Yes. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your time, and thank you for the valuable input that you have given us. And hopefully, we will be able to process it and get some valuable output as well. The only thing I can do right now, I know I cannot buy your time, but the only thing I can do right now is pray that Allah grant you long life with health and more wisdom. Grant you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's an honor. It's an honor for you. Thank you for the honor that you have conferred on me by inviting me to discuss with you on this very important day. And I'm happy that you young people who are full of vigor and vitality, you are the leaders of today and tomorrow. I'm happy that you are prepared to assume that responsibility of preparing yourself for a leadership that's going to be important for you in the not too distant future. So I'm happy that you are prepared to do that, and I promise you that, and I give my promise that I'm always available. I'm always prepared to serve you in any capacity that you would want me to serve you, because it is my responsibility to help you and help you to grow and guide you for the leadership that you have to assume in the not too distant future. And I wish you all the best. I wish you scintillating success in all the academic undertakings that you are making in India. And I pray that Allah gives you long life and good health, and give you success in whatever you are doing there, so that when you come back to the Gambia, you'll be able to serve your people with abnegation. I thank you very much. And don't hesitate to ask me to do anything that you think I can do it for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, all of you.
Good
Greetings. For Gambian members, I think it was made clear that we should stay after the meeting. I think we are supposed to have a general meeting with regards to the Students' Week and all that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Sayo. Thank you very much, Alaji Madi Sise. Definitely, you people have done great, and we are very proud of you. And we will continue to pray for all of you, those who are present in this meeting and those who were unable to make it due to one reason or the other. As 7th Executive Council of Association of Gambian Students in India, we recognize your effort and we recognize your company with us. And we know that without you people, this association is not yet an association. In fact, this country is not yet a country. So due to that, we are thanking you and we appreciate your presence and we recognize your presence as individuals.